Namaskara to all of you, and welcome to our next session on the Yogic life. So, before we go to our pravachan, what is this world? I wanted to say a few things. So, we are actually living in this world, and we are interacting with different kinds of people, right? And what happens is that due to those interactions that we have with different people, whether at work or at home or even outside, so the mind gets impacted. The mind actually either it goes up or it comes down. Mind gets elevated or it gets degraded, and in the most of the circumstances the mind gets degraded by all those interactions for whatever reason, right? So essentially human beings, we are not looking for not looking for happiness or sadness from the worldly things, right? Those kind of things don't give us that kind of the peace that we are looking for, right? So essentially what we are looking for is that mental peace, mental balance. That is what we are looking for, right? And what happens is when you interact with the world, either your mind goes up or it comes down. And in this world we have two categories of people: those people who like to do injustice and those who don't like to do injustice. So those people who do injustice, they have to bear the injustice that is done to them as well. And people who don't do injustice, they don't have to bear any injustice to them, right? So when so essentially what we're looking for is the mental balance, that the state of silence, right? Your mind is very quiet and it's balanced, and we are not where mind is not getting disturbed by the external situations. So the question is, we are living in this world and we are having these interactions with the people, with the different things, right? With internally or externally, we are in the house or outside, we are having interactions, and we have friends and we have family and we have we have work and we have so many interactions. So how do we maintain this mental balance? How do I make sure that I get this manasik shanti, right? How do I get this manasik shanti? So for instance, if we know somebody who is very, very happy, let's say we have a close friend who is very, very happy, right? Even if he's a close friend, we are not happy because my friend is very happy, so I'm not happy because I have this jealousy, like how come he is so happy and I'm not happy, and you get this jealousy. So when you get this jealousy, what happens is there's a disturbance in your mental peace, right? In those situations where you have people who are very happy, you watch them being very happy and you're getting impacted by that. So then how do you maintain the mental balance, right? So in day-to-day circumstances, our mind should not be impacted by what is happening around us. So how do you maintain this mental balance? So for instance, if somebody who is very happy and you're having this jealousy feeling, then how do you get rid of that feeling? So we have to take the viparita bhavana for getting the manasika shanti. You have to take the viparita bhavana. How you get this mental peace, mental composure by taking the opposite stance. So if you know somebody who is very, very happy, then what should you say? You should say, yes, he did the right thing and he got the happiness, and it's absolutely fine that he's happy. It's actually very good that he's happy, right? That way you need to keep telling your mind that it's indeed very good that he's very happy. It is indeed very good that this happened to him, right? When you take that kind of a bhava in your mind, then this feeling of jealousy will go away, right? But on the other hand, if you say, oh, he's very happy and I'm not very happy about it, I'm very sad about it, and I have this feeling of jealousy, then what happens? Your mind, it just goes down, it degrades your mind. So in those situations, you should have this maitri bhava, right? So you should say, oh, okay, he's very happy, it is indeed very good that he is happy. When you keep saying that in your mind, then what happens is that your mental balance returns and you don't have this jealousy feeling. And also it so happens that let's say that there's some acquaintance of yours who did not behave properly with you, or for some reason he's not behaving properly with everybody, or whatever the reason may be, and you come to know that person has is unhappy for some reason. He's very unhappy for some reason, right? So generally, how do human beings behave is that we say, oh, it is indeed very good that that person is rightly served. It's indeed very good that he got that unhappiness, right? We say that, and when we do that, what happens is that it impacts your mental peace, right? It impacts your mental balance, because now your mind is getting degraded by saying those things, right? So then in that situation, how do you maintain the mental balance? How do you get that mental peace, right? That shanti, manasika shanti, is that in those situations you have to say that this guy is indeed in great difficulty. He is indeed in great difficulty. That is how you should say. Oh, poor thing, he is indeed in great difficulty. When you keep saying that to your mind, and then your mind is essentially, you're taking the opposite stance, and then your mind does not get degraded. Even if that person harmed you or whatever he might have done, even in those circumstances, you keep saying, oh, poor thing, the poor thing, he's in great difficulty. If you keep saying that to your mind by taking the opposite stance, instead of saying that, oh, it is rightly served, you take the opposite stance, then what happens is that your mental balance is not disturbed, right? So this jealousy or this kind of negative feeling towards other people, in those circumstances, you should take this opposite stance, right? And sometimes what happens is that we see there are people who do good things, they do service to society, they're doing good work, right? Even in those situations, sometimes we don't feel good about it, right? How come he's doing so much and I'm not able to do? And we get this kind of a jealousy kind of a feeling, or we're not very happy about it, right? And how do you get rid of that kind of jealousy from your mind, right? You should in that situation also, you should take the negative stance to say, oh, he's indeed doing a very good job, he's doing a very good job. You keep and you express your happiness about it. Then what happens is that your mental balance is not affected, your jealousy is removed. You bring that happiness in your mind by saying that that person is really doing a very good job, and I'm very happy about it, right? When you say that, then what happens is that by taking that opposite stance, your mental balance is not lost, right? And then sometimes what happens is that there are certain people in the society who are doing wrong things, whether it is politician or what not, right? So then sometimes we tend to develop this hatred feeling towards somebody, right? We should not have this hatred feeling towards anybody, for that matter. So when you get this bhava, this grina bhava, right? So how do you get rid of that grina bhava, right? When you have this grina bhava, what happens is that nothing happens to the other person. It is that your mind is getting degraded. So we should not let the mind get degraded by this grina, this hatred, this feeling of hatredness, right? So we should take the opposite stance. We should say that I don't hate this person, I actually love this person. So that kind of an opposite stance when you take, then your mind is not getting degraded. Another thing that mind gets degraded is when you have extreme anger, right? When you are very, very angry, then what happens is that your body starts shaking and shivering. And in those circumstances, if somebody is very angry, right, is extremely angry, how do you behave with that person, right? Somebody that is very, very angry. So is it correct on your part also to be angry in that situation when the other person is angry? So actually in that situation, if somebody is instigating your anger and that person is very angry and is instigating your anger, in that situation also we should not lose our cool. We should be cool. We should not get angry. In any circumstances, we should not get angry, because angry is the greatest enemy for the mind. It degrades your mind a lot. We have to not lose our cool and balance in any circumstances. So that is how you have to control your anger, right? When somebody is instigating you to make you very angry, then you have to essentially understand that that person is trying to instigate you and make you anger, and you have to take an opposite stance, saying that I will not be angry in this situation. Essentially taking the opposite stance, right? Even though he is creating a situation for you to get angry, but you're taking the opposite stance, saying I will not be angry. Then what happens is that the situation comes under control, because there's no point in when two people shouting at each other. There's no point in that. So in no circumstance we should get angry. Angry is getting the krodh is not a good quality. It just affects the mental balance, mental peace. So then again, there are people in this world who are extremely miserly. They're misers, right? They don't like to spend money. They don't like to do anything. And in that circumstance also, sometimes it just annoys you, right? So in that situation, you have to actually take the opposite stance, right? So the person who is very, very conjuice, right? He doesn't want to spend money. Then what you should do, you should take the opposite stance, and you should start, you should spend extra money on such a person, right? So for a person who is a miser, you should spend more money. So then what happens is that you're taking an opposite stance, because by thinking that he's a miser, it's affecting your mental balance, and your mind is getting degraded. So you have to take the opposite stance, right? So we always have to be a satyavadi. We have to always follow the if people are, in the world there are people who are, dongis, who are, mithyavadi, right? So when you want to fight against the mithyavadis, you have to be a strong satyavadi. Then only you can get victory, right? This is actually the a skill in, fighting against the people who are mithyavadis. How do you fight against them? Is by being a strong satyavadi. That is how you can fight against mithyavadis, right? So when you have to fight against somebody who is very angry, then you have to not be angry. So if you also become angry, then the situation it goes out of control. So this is the skill in fighting. How do you fight a person who is very angry? Is by not being angry. Then what happens is that you get the victory. You get the victory in the war. Your mental peace is not lost. Your mental peace is just like that, right? So also when you look at this world, right, there are like all kinds of people. Some people give you happiness. Some people give you sadness, right? So the people who give you happiness, we are we want to interact with those people, right? We have a kind of a closer relationship with those people who give you happiness, and we want to be far away from people who are giving you sadness. So but in this world we cannot completely avoid people who give us sorrow, right? So in those situations, whether somebody is giving you happiness or sorrow, your mental balance should not be affected. You have to be have a mental equilibrium, whether you get happiness or sorrow from people outside, right? Whether you have whether you get fame or whether you don't get fame, whether somebody gives you happiness or somebody gives you sadness, irrespective of all of that, you should not lose your mental balance. You should always remain calm. So this taking this opposite stance actually helps a great deal in maintaining this mental balance, right? So in this context, I can actually share one story about Buddha, right? So in one particular place in Vaishali, Buddha was actually seated there, and all people came to see him. Different kinds of people came to see him, and in that there was a businessman who was very, very very powerful, and he had a lot of money, and but he was a very, very low graded person, right? His mind was so much degraded. He didn't have a good heart. So even such a person actually came to see Buddha, because why he came is because all his other friends in the business circle, they all were greatly influenced by Buddha, and what they did was they all became bhaktas of Buddha. So this person wanted to see how come all my friends all have become bhaktas, and he was really very angry at Buddha, because Buddha is making all of his friends as bhaktas. So now he's actually left all alone. So he came to see Buddha, and then when he got a chance, he came near the Buddha, and he started abusing Buddha. He started scolding him. He started speaking all kinds of things against Buddha continuously for quite some time. He just blabbered, and Buddha was just keeping quiet. He didn't say anything. Then this businessman got really very angry. He said, I'm just shouting at you and you're not responding at all. How come you're sitting like this? You respond to what I'm saying. If you don't respond to what I'm saying, then what is the purpose of me blabbering all these things, shouting at you, and I'm not getting satisfaction by shouting, because you should respond, you should react, you should feel affected, then only I will be happy about it. So then Buddha said, okay, finish whatever you want to say, continue and finish whatever you want to say. After you finish, I will say, he says. Then this businessman continues again, goes on and on and on and on for some more time. And then after that, he said he becomes tired and he says, okay, I am done. I don't have anything else to say. Then Buddha asks, right, if you give a dana, if you give a donation, then that property belongs to whom? He asks the businessman. The businessman says that to whomever I gave the property, that property belongs to that person. Okay. Then he asks further, if that person to whom you gave the property does not want it, he does not want it, then what happens? To whom does it belong? He asks. Then the businessman says, yeah, if the person to whom it is given doesn't accept the donation, then it just belongs to me. Then it is me. So this Buddha says in the same way. So whatever you blabbered so far, I have not accepted it. I have not accepted it. Therefore, it all belongs to you. So that is how I maintain my shanti. So when somebody speaks harshly or somebody speaks, in a angry with anger, then it is a choice with us whether we want to take it or not. So what we do is 99.99% we take it, we accept it, and we get upset about it and we affect our mind. So in those situations, what we should do is we should not take it, we should not accept it. So some things which affects our mental balance, we should not accept it. We just stop it at the entry of the mind. Just throw it out, right? Just put a barrier to stop that. So then what happens is that your mind is not affected and you are actually, your manasik shanti is maintained. So these are some of the ways that we can maintain our mental balance when we have a negative circumstance around us, right? By taking the opposite stance, by taking the viparita bhavana. When you have a feeling of hatred towards somebody, then you have to take the opposite stance, that you have to take the stance that I actually love this person. When you have a feeling of jealousy, you have to take the opposite stance, that whatever happened to the other person is actually good. And when you're angry, when somebody is angry at you, then you should take the opposite stance. You should not get angry. So by doing all of these things, what happens is that your mind, you're well equipped to deal with the circumstances in this world. So this world is actually a struggle. Dealing with this world is a struggle. So you will be more equipped to deal with the struggle, and then your mind is not degraded even when you interact with the society, because having the mind in a perfect balanced state is very, very important for spiritual progress. And even not for spiritual progress, also for leading a normal healthy life, you need to have the mind in a proper state. If the mind is not in a proper state, then what happens is that it affects your health, it affects your whole being, right? Then you're not able to forget about progressing spiritually. You're not even able to operate on a day-to-day basis. It just affects your mind so much that we can see that people in today's world, are getting affected by depression, mental illness. All sorts of things are happening. That is because they're letting the mind get affected by the external circumstances. They're taking the pressure, right? When the stress, external circumstances are creating an environment of stress for you, and you're taking stress, right? You're taking stress from that. Then what happens is that your mind gets degraded, and we have all kinds of mental illness that is there in today's world. But on the other hand, when you take the opposite stance, then what happens is that your mind will be in a mental balance. And it is, in fact, it is one has to take courage. One has to have the courage to take the opposite stance, right? Initially it is not easy, but we have to make a determination, strong determination, that I will take the opposite stance. So when you start slowly taking this opposite stance, then what happens is that your mind, you feel very, very happy inside. You feel happy inside. You don't have this bhoja, you don't have this burden of constantly creating this karma pala by doing something negative. By you're not going to be earning any papa by doing this, right? So your mind is in a common state, in a very, very balanced state, in equilibrium, and you can go ahead, and you can also progress spiritually nicely in such a kind of environment. Because at the end of the day, you are going to do the sadhana with your mind, and the mind has to be in proper state. If the mind is degraded to such an extent, then you will not be able to even sit in sadhana. You will not be interested in sadhana. You will not forget about sadhana. You will not be interested in spirituality at all. So it's important. So these are some of the tools that we can actually employ so that to have a manasik shanti. So having said that, now I actually want to go to our Karapatram. What is this world? So we've been talking about Brahma, right? We've been talking Brahma. We said Brahma is a combination of Prakriti and Purusha, and Brahma is non-causal. Brahma is Karana Rahitam. It doesn't have a Karana, and the Brahma doesn't have a beginning. Brahma is Anadi Ananta. Doesn't have a beginning or it doesn't have an end. And then we saw that we have this Jivatma. Every human being has every being has a Jivatma, including the human being. So we said this Jivatma also doesn't have a cause, and but however the human beings we are not causeless. We have come from the earth, right? So originally only Brahma was there. From Brahma, Atmanah Akashah Sambhutah. From Brahma, Akasha came, and then from Akasha Vayu, from Vayu Agnihi, from Agnihi Jalam, from Jalam earth came, and then when the earth came, then slowly the beings started developing. First the single celled organisms, then plants, then animals, and then finally human beings came in this earth. That is how the human beings came. The human beings have a Jivatma. Essentially all beings have a Jivatma. So the Jivatma, so how did the beings get the Jivatma? That means the Jivatma, the consciousness must have been in earth, right? That's how the human beings got it. So how did the earth get the consciousness? So we have to trace it back to the previous bhuta. So ultimately the earth got it from water, and water got it from fire, fire got it from air, air got it from Akasha. And where did the Akasha get it? It got it from Brahma. So that is how the human beings got the consciousness. So when we look at the Akasha is very, very subtle. Akasha is not crude, it's very subtle, but even then it is actually considered crude because the sound waves can travel through it. So essentially what we said was that this whole creation is made of Brahma only. Brahma is the cause of this creation. So there we saw the distinction between the Saguna Brahma and the Nirguna Brahma. In the Nirguna Brahma, both Prakriti and Purusha are there, but Prakriti is not able to influence the Purusha with her gunas, because not because Prakriti is dormant, but because Purusha has not given permission in the Nirguna Brahma. Whereas in the Saguna Brahma, Purusha has given permission to Prakriti, and Prakriti is able to influence the Purusha, and this Shristi gets and we have this Shristi in front of us. And how is this Shristi made, right? What is the material out of which this Shristi is made? So we said that this Saguna Brahma is the only ingredient that is available in this universe. Nothing else is there. Beyond Prakriti and Purusha, nothing else is there. So this Purusha is himself the ingredient out of which this whole universe is made. This everything, every bit of thing in this universe is Purusha, is consciousness, right? It is not that consciousness is in the book, but the book is made of consciousness. Everything in this universe is made of consciousness. Every speck of dust is nothing but Brahma. So Brahma is the cause of this creation, and we said the Purusha is the ingredient and Prakriti is the Shakti which gives the shape to the Purusha, right? So so then that is how the Purusha is projected in different forms and shapes in this universe. So everything, even a brick, a stone which appears so crude, right, it is also made of Purusha. Everything is nothing but a modified consciousness, right? So the question is, this world is so crude, right? This world, I can perceive this world. This world is so crude, but we said the Purusha is so subtle, he cannot be seen. Then how come the seed of this universe is in Purusha? So if we say that, when we look at a Laukika example, we say that the butter is in milk, right? And that is why I got the butter, right? The butter, I can see the butter, and that butter is in milk, and that is how I was able to get it. It was existed in milk in some other form, and I got it. So if this crude universe, Purusha is the cause of this crude universe, then the seed of this crudeness must be in Purusha. How can Purusha be subtle, right? So there is a contradiction over here. How do you resolve this contradiction? So we said that essentially Purusha did not use anything to create this universe. It did not use any crude material to create this universe. Actually, this whole universe is a a thought projection of Purusha. This universe is created only as a thought projection of Purusha. When Purusha is influenced by Prakriti, a wave comes in his mind, and as a result, this creation becomes filled with all these different forms, names and forms, right? So therefore, Purusha can be subtle and easily create this crude universe, because everything is happening in his chitta. That the Saguna Brahma has a cosmic mind, and in the cosmic mind, in the chitta, this whole universe is projected according to the direction of the Aham Tattva, right? So how do we understand this? We said this is an imagination in the mind of Purusha. So we need to understand what this imagination is, right? So in the world, like if anybody, if we imagine, if we are under the spell of imagination, then as long as we are under the spell of imagination, we feel everything is real, right? If we are imagining, so if we are in, if let's say I'm in India and I'm actually thinking about America, then as long as I'm thinking about America, then everything looks real, right? As long as I'm under the imagination. But once the spell of imagination is broken, then I realize, oh, I'm actually in India and not in America. So that is how this imagination works. So generally, what happens for human beings, how do we get the perception, is that we have the external objects. So the chitta, the indriyas, the 10 indriyas, what they do is they help to receive the tanmatras from the objects of the world, and they pass the tanmatras via the optic nerve to the brain, and then from there it goes to the chitta, and the chitta is the movie screen of the mind, and it becomes like the external object, or whatever it may be. It may be like a book, or it can be sound, or it can be rasa, or it can be sparsha, whatever it may be. So the chitta takes the form of that, and the Aham Tattva sees that object, or it experiences this sound, or it actually experiences the rasa. So that is how the perception happens. But when one is imagining, then what happens is that the chitta is not in contact with the indriyas. Chitta is not in contact with the indriyas. So according to the orders of the Aham Tattva, chitta takes the imagination. So if I'm thinking I'm in America, then chitta takes the shape of America and the different objects in America, and my Aham Tattva actually sees that. So that is how it is happening in imagination. So as long as I'm imagining, I feel it is real. I feel I'm in America. So then moment I realize, that spell of imagination is broken, then I realize, oh, this is not real. I was actually imagining. Then I realized that. Right? So that is how the imagination actually works. So even for the Saguna Brahma, Saguna Brahma has a mind. He has a cosmic mind. So every human being has a mind. Actually, every being has a mind. So Saguna Brahma has is a multiple of all of these consciousnesses, unit consciousnesses, and also he is a multiple of all of these infinite unit minds, right? So the Saguna Brahma has a cosmic mind, which is a collection of all the minds, and it also has the Aham Tattva, Mahatattva, and Chitta, right? So the Aham Tattva of the Saguna Brahma makes the Chitta to take the form of the creation. So a Chitta, then what happens in the case of Saguna Brahma, it is not like the objects are outside, right? Just like how we see a book, it's not like the objects are outside. Saguna Brahma actually, the Aham Tattva of Saguna Brahma actually imagines whatever it imagines. The Chitta takes the shape of that, and that is how the Aham Tattva sees it, and the Chitta actually takes the shape of this universe, and that is how this whole Srishti is actually an imagination or Kalpana, right? So because nothing existed outside beyond Saguna Brahma, so Chitta, we cannot take any shape of any external object, right? So whatever the Aham Tattva wants the Chitta to do, the Chitta does that, and this creation is an imagination of Saguna Brahma. This we cannot say this Srishti is Mithya. We can't say Jagat that Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, because this Jagat, even though it is an imagination, it is an imagination of Brahma, but it is in fact that Chitta is actually doing the imagination, right? The imagination is real. Imagination is real, but the objects of the imagination may be unreal, right? So for that reason, we cannot, because as long as we are in the imagination, we feel everything is real, right? But when the spell of imagination is broken, then only we feel, oh, it was just an imagination. So this world has a relative reality. We cannot completely say that this jagat is mithya, right? So we also saw this, how this imagination actually, how this imagination appears to be real. So we saw the example of a magician who performs tricks, right? He performs a trick, and as long as he's performing the trick, and people are all under his spell of under his spell, then the people's minds are all under the control of the magician. So whatever the magician wants the people to see, that is what they see, and they believe, as long as they are under the magician's control, then they see whatever the magician wants them to see. So whatever the magician is projecting on his chitta by his aham tattva, people actually see, that is what they see, and they feel that it is real. But those people who are not within the radius of that magician's power, what will they see? They will see that the magician who is just standing there and who's closing his eyes, and that's all they will see. Whereas when you look at you know but those people who are under the spell, right, who are under the spell of the magician, what they will actually see is, they will see that the whatever the magician is trying to project, right, that is what they will see. So those people who are actually seeing this, they will feel it is very, very real. They will feel it is real because they are under his spell. They will feel it is very real. But it is actually it is just they are under the spell of the magician. That is what we saw till last week. So now we can actually go further. The show of the magician is a glaring example from that. Chandrasekhar Mohdaya, do you want to take it from here?
I'm trying to find my spot here. Give me a minute.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I haven't. Oh, sorry. Let me project my screen. Sorry.
No, I mean, I can read from my this.
Oh, you have it handy? Okay. I
Yeah.
can just project it in it.
The
I just
show
projected it.
of the magician. Yeah, if you want to switch that, then we are
Yeah.
both in sync. The show of the
Yeah.
magician is a
Yeah.
glaring. Okay. All right, hold on. The show of the magician is a glaring example to bear testimony of the fact that this material world, though only an imagination or a thought wave of Saguna Brahma, appears to us as a great reality. Just as we regard the imaginary show of the magician as real, we also regard the imagination of Brahma as real. Those who are beyond the scope of the influence of the magician's mind do not see the show. They see the truth behind it. That is, only the magician with closed eyes. Similarly, those who, with the help of sadhana or institutional or intuitional practice, get beyond the scope of the cosmic mind, see this crude universe in its true form, like the truth in the magician's show. They are able to realize the reality of the universe. As the crude universe is only imagination or a thought wave in the cosmic mind, it cannot be Satya or absolute truth. And only those who go beyond the cosmic mind can realize the truth like the truth in the magician's show. This salvation or realization through sadhana means knowing the ultimate or absolute truth. And those who have known this absolute are called Satya Drishta Rishi. So in this paragraph, it's just continuing to draw the parallel and explain the universe as we see, which is the thought wave or imagination of Saguna Brahma, and tries to draw that, and that is analogous to a magician with his hypnotic power controls the mind of the people around him within his border of influence, to have them see whatever he would like them to see, or have them see whatever his mind is imagining. And similarly, given that the Saguna Brahma has the influence over all of us, we all tend to see whatever the Saguna Brahma is imagining, or whatever this cosmic universal mind is visualizing and perceiving. The only exception to that would be just like those who are not under the influence, couldn't be under the influence of the magician, can see the truth. If we want to see the truth, then we have to do the sadhana and see the absolute truth by going beyond the cosmic mind, beyond the influence of the cosmic mind, to realize the whole truth, that the truth is that everything is Maya, everything is the cosmic mind's imagination. And this realization through the sadhana or an intuitional practice is what's needed to realize the ultimate truth from a yogic perspective. And these people who can do that are called Satyadrishta Rishis, because they can really see the Satya, or they can have the drishti of the real Satya. So they are Satyadrishta Rishi. And so everything, the universe is an illusion caused by the cosmic or the Paramatma controlling everybody's mind to see whatever the cosmic mind has wants us to see. And the only way to go beyond it is to do the realization of the truth by the sadhana's intuitional practice. Does that cover what this?
Yes, Maurya. Thank you so much. Yeah, that is nicely said. That is exactly the picture. So it was actually dramatically, it was portrayed with the magician's show, right? So yeah. So just as it's dramatic with the Saguna Brahma, that we are all in a certain sense witnessing a huge show, a huge magic show, which is just a kalpana or an imagination. But there are certain differences between the magician's trick and the Saguna Brahma, and there are some similarities as well, right? So
right. You can't take it literally and have every part of the magician's thing to be mapped. It's just that magician is able to control and have you believe what his mind thing conjures up.
Yes.
That's the aspect that we need to draw into, saying that now the Saguna Brahma controls the mind. As we were always saying, that there's a universal consciousness and the unit consciousness, and they are tied, and it's just we're extending that unit consciousness is a part under control of the cosmic consciousness by extending it to the mind, controlling everybody's individual's mind. When we say control, make it believe what the cosmic mind wants you to believe.
Yes, Maudya, yes, correct. So yes, so there are differences and there are also some similarities. So we have seen the similarities, that is to say that aham tattva is getting guided to understand a certain thing as a reality, which we do on our own, like during sleep when we have a dream, or as occurred even in the waking state with the case of the magician who is guiding the aham tattva of all of those who are within the 100 yards, right? And ultimately that of saguna brahma, you know that we are within the radius of saguna brahma, and therefore we are seeing the kalpana which he has created for all of us. So so to that extent we have seen, and because there's something beyond that we are saying this, which we are seeing as an objective reality, but it is not the absolute truth. So that is the scenario we have painted so far, right? So so we are not finished yet, but up to there goes the parallel between the magician's show and that of the play of the cosmic mind of saguna brahma, right? So that is the trying to draw a contrast between the magician's show and saguna brahma's imagination or kalpana, right? So okay, I think we can actually go forward.
Yeah.
Yes, Modi, please.
So they say Brahma alone is Satya, ultimate reality, and the universe is false. Let us see how far this assertion is true. This universe is formed in the imagination of Saguna Brahma. If this universe exists only in imagination, it cannot be a reality. Had Kalpana or imagination been a reality, it would be called Satya, ultimate reality, and not imagination. Hence, as the universe is formed in the imagination of Saguna Brahma, it can never be Satya, ultimate reality. Aham Tattva of Saguna Brahma imagines the universe, and its Chitta takes that form to create this imaginary universe as a thought projection of Brahma. The imaginary form cannot be real, yet it is a form. Similarly, the imaginary form of the universe that Chitta takes may not be real, yet it is a fact that Chitta takes a form. But the form that it takes is only imaginary and thus not a reality. The Chitta of Brahma has manifested itself in the form of this universe, and even though the form in which it has manifested itself is imaginary, it is a fact that it has manifested itself in the form of the universe. This is reality or Satya. The universe has a form, so it cannot be said to be unreal, but at the same time, as the form is in the imagination of Brahma, it cannot be Satya. Hence, the universe has to be considered as neither true nor false. It is something between the two. It is relative truth. This is where it gets pretty involved in trying to draw this analogy. So it says it's Brahma alone is Satya, because it's that's Jagat Mithya, and Brahma, or the ultimate reality, is the Satya. And then it's trying to say, okay, how is this true, or how let's analyze that further. That if we say that the universe, or Jagat, is just an imagination of Saguna Brahma, then the universe is not a reality, because it's just an imagination. And if it's, and at the same time, the universe is formed in the imagination of cosmic reality, or the ultimate reality, um, and since it's an imagination, again, it's saying it's not real. But then it's a thought projection of Brahma, is what the universe is. Then suddenly they change the tone and say the imaginary form may not be real, yet it is a form. If it's a form, why isn't that a real? The imaginary form of the universe that Chitta takes may not be real, but it is, but it is a form. And that's where then, between it being not real but having a form, brings us to this situation where it's saying it's neither true nor false. It's imaginary. It doesn't exist, but it has a form, and there seemed to be a contradiction in that. But the conclusion out of this contradiction seemed to be that it's neither true nor false. It's something between the two. Then it's relative truth. The relative truth is, then I take it or interpret it to say, where we start saying it has a form in that plane of relativity. There's an ultimate reality or an ultimate plane of ultimate reality where everything is, as you see, as universe is mithya, is false. That's in the plane of ultimate reality. But if you bring it down to not the ultimate reality, but the unit consciousness reality or the Jagat reality, in that reality, then in the form exists. And so that's a relative which plane that you are visualizing or relating to. And if you relate to this reality, then it's true. And that's why it ends up saying it's a relative truth. It's false if it's an ultimate reality plane. It's true if it's in this relative reality or the Vyavaharika world. In the Vyavaharika world, the forms are true. In the Paramasika world, the forms are all false. So depending on the eye, whether you perceive everything in the Vyavaharika world or you perceive everything in the Paramasika world, it becomes true or false. And that's why it's concluding that it's a relative truth. And in which plane or in which are you, in the Vyavaharika world or the Paramasika world? I don't know if that.
Yes, Mahodaya. Nicely, very nicely said. Yeah, that is actually the idea that when we say Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, when we say that, what happens is that Jagat Mithya, when you say that, then people tend to ignore this world, right? They don't they don't think about doing seva for this world. If this world is Mithya, then where is the need to do seva for the world? Where is the need to uplift the society? Where is the need for having a proper path for spiritual progress? So what happens is then it goes completely in a different direction when you say Jagat Mithya. But what we are actually saying is that the important point over here is this point is very important, is that we are not saying that in yoga we are not saying that the Jagat is Mithya, right? Brahma Satyam is true, but we are not saying Jagat is Mithya, right? So even though the Jagat, it has limited reality, even though it is an imagination in the mind of Saguna Brahma, even then we cannot say that this Jagat does not exist, even if it is an imagination. But the imagination but the imagination is happening in the chitta of Paramapurusha. So we cannot completely ignore this imagination and say mithya. So for us to progress in this world spiritually, we need to engage in Atma Moksha and Jagat Hit, and we cannot do the Jagat Hit if the world is not, if the world is completely mithya or false, right? So the world exists, even though it is an imagination, it still exists, and we live in this world to engage in sadhana, and also to do jagat hit, right? So that is why we say that this world is not absolutely true, but it is also not absolutely false. It has a limited reality, right? So when it has a limited reality, then nobody can say that this world does not exist. The world exists. We live in this world because we are having a food. Those people who say this world is a mithya, then they should not have their lunch and dinner. They should not take food, right? So if the world is mithya, then why are you taking food? So the world is, in today's world, we do have people who are suffering with poverty and whatnot, right? So we cannot say this world is mithya. The world has a limited reality, and with that limited reality, our goal as yogis is Atma Moksha and Jagat Hit, right? So that is what this paragraph is talking about. So okay, do you want to take the next one, Mahodaya? Chandrasekhar Mahodaya?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I had that. I didn't realize I had the mute on.
No worries.
The creation is a thought wave of Brahma. On the day it ceases, the universe will come to an end. Okay. This raises the question why the thought wave has not yet come to an end. And if it has to end in the future, when that end will be. The universe has been created by Saguna Brahma due to Prakriti qualifying the uncondensed Purusha. This creates thought waves in Purusha, and as a result, the universe is created. Thus, this universe has been created due to Prakriti, or to be more precise, due to Prakriti qualifying Purusha. If Purusha could be freed from the qualifying influence of Prakriti, the universe would come to an end as Purusha would not have to continue his imagination or thought waves under her influence. Purusha, in the qualified state of Saguna Brahma, has multiplied himself into the infinite number of unit consciousness. It is due to these that Brahma is the supreme multiple of all the unit consciousnesses. In order to free itself from the qualifying influence of its principle, Prakriti, Saguna Brahma will have to liberate the infinite number of unit consciousnesses from her influence. Then alone can the creation come to an end. Saguna Brahma contains the totality of all the many unit consciousnesses, and even if 10 million unit consciousnesses were liberated from the influence of Prakriti, there would still be an infinite number left to be liberated. For whatever is taken away from the infinite, the remainder is still infinite. An infinite number means a number which cannot be counted or which never ends. So if 1,000,000 or even 100 million are taken away from an infinite number, the remainder will still be infinite. The number will not be countless or infinite if taking away any finite number, however large, makes it smaller, as that will bring its end within sight or conception. Hence, however large the number of unit consciousnesses may be that are freed from the influence of Prakriti, there will still be an infinite number under her influence in Saguna Brahma. Saguna Brahma will still be a multiple of an infinite number of unit consciousnesses, and as long as Saguna Brahma is there, the creation will continue to exist. As the number of unit consciousnesses is infinite, the creation can never cease. The thought waves in Purusha, in its Saguna Brahma stage, are created due to the influence of its qualifying principle, Prakriti, and as long as even one individual unit consciousness exists under the influence of Prakriti, the thought wave or imagination will have to continue, and in it is a creation, and it is a creation. Yes. So, this paragraph tries to address the question: if the creation is a thought wave of Brahma, will there be a day when that ceases to the thought wave of Brahma, or the Saguna Brahma, ceases, and everything that was just this thing of Saguna Brahma in his mind, or ends, and the creation comes to an end, is what this we are trying to address, and it's bringing out the thought that it's again the creation. Saguna Brahma was created, or we call them, from Nirguna Brahma by the influence of by the Purusha being qualified by Prakriti. So because Purusha allowed Prakriti to qualify, and the Nirguna Brahma became Saguna Brahma, and then all this universe as we see it is created by Saguna Brahma, by the thought waves, or by the universal consciousness. And it created all these unit consciousnesses, and so the Saguna Brahma, or the universal consciousness, is just a sum of this infinite number of unit consciousness. And this paragraph goes on further to say that, the universal consciousness will end if it can liberate all the unit consciousnesses, because all the unit consciousnesses are still under the influence of this universal consciousness, and they continue to see the Jagat, because they don't realize that they are under the influence. So you have to liberate all of them so that they can see the truth. All the unit consciousnesses, if they see the truth, then they are liberated. Therefore, if all the infinite number of them see the truth, then the Saguna Brahma will no longer exist. Then it goes on to say that's literally impossible, because there is no really because is why infinite all of them cannot be liberated. It's just that you keep taking out hundreds and millions of unit consciousnesses. If you liberate them, you'll still be left with infinite number of unit consciousnesses, and that essentially confirming that in this scenario, Saguna Brahma, that and the universe will never come to an end, because for it to come to an end, the infinite number of unit consciousnesses need to be liberated, need to be shown to see the truth, and without explicitly saying it, seem to imply that wouldn't be possible, Well, it's not possible.
Yeah. So nicely said, Mahodaya. That is the idea over here. Yeah, that is exactly right. So essentially, what we're saying is that that this whole Srishti is come about as an imagination in the cosmic mind, right, due to the influence of Prakriti. So the question is, would this Srishti come to an end? Would this universe come to an end? Right? That essentially, would the imagination of Paramapurusha come to an end? So this paragraph is basically saying that because Saguna Brahma has multiplied himself into these infinite number of consciousnesses. So if Saguna Brahma, he takes the effort of liberating all of these consciousnesses, then we can say the Srishti would come to an end. But let's say that Saguna Brahma just liberates like a certain amount of certain number of unit consciousness. Even then you would still have an infinite number, right? So as long as there is even one unit consciousness which is still there, then so long this imagination of Paramapurusha will continue. So essentially what this paragraph is saying is that this Srishti will keep on going, it will keep on going. So even they say that Srishti, Sthiti, Layaha, they say, right? Essentially that what happens, it just means that it doesn't mean complete annihilation of the Srishti. It means some part of it may be liberated, but still we have the rest of the Srishti. So there won't be a day where we don't have Srishti at all. Srishti will always be there, and this process of the creating the Srishti and then complete annihilation, maintenance, and then destruction, that will be happening in certain parts, and it's just part of the cycle. It goes on, but the Srishti, complete annihilation of the Srishti will never happen. So that is what this paragraph is saying. So the Srishti keeps on going like a chakra, right? So yeah, so that is what this is. Any questions so far?
No, see, the unit consciousness exists not only in humans, in every entity, in creation.
Not only in humans, unit consciousness exists in others also, right?
Everything, in everything, but they don't have they don't have this desire to see the truth.
Yes.
Right. I'm not saying that. So they've been influenced by the Saguna Brahma, the universal consciousness, and here we the humans say and dwell into this concept of what is real, what is the truth, and what is false, and want to be awakened and want to get away from this influence and see the illusion as it is. But all these other entities, all the other unit consciousnesses in the pashus or even in stones and trees and everything, they don't have that desire, and how they don't have the thing to be saying, oh, you could liberate their unit consciousness, because they're not trying to see anything different.
Mm-hmm.
We see that a tree or a pashu as an illusion, if in the same token, but the pashu doesn't see itself or the other pashu as an illusion. So that a thing to say, oh, so therefore that this universe or this Saguna Brahma, this thing, and the creation will never end, because not everybody is trying to get it liberated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we see it as illusion. What do you mean by that, Mahodaya?
That when we say Jagat Mithya,
we are not saying Jagat Mithya. Yeah, those people who say Jagat Mithya, they see it everything as an illusion. But what you're saying is the animals and plants will not see it as an illusion.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm only to those who say Jagat Mithya. Whoever is,
Yes.
yep, it is Maya. I mean, from a Vedantic world,
Yeah.
they use the word Maya.
Yeah.
There's Ishvara and there's Maya, and then constantly this thing about everything is Maya, or
Right.
which is that Jagat Mithya. And
Okay. Nice point. So basically what you're trying to say is that even though human beings may say this world is an illusion, those who believe in Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya,
yeah,
but animals, they do not see this world as Mithya. That's what you're trying to say, right?
right,
Animals
yeah,
and plants.
yeah,
Yeah. That is a fair point. So even in this world also, like 99% of the people don't see this world as a
no,
Mithya.
that's a bigger problem. But that's
Yeah.
the only reason we are debating that is we feel like, oh, that's a problem that they could solve.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
not.
Yes.
I mean, it's not easy said, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's easier said than done. But it's a
Yeah.
problem that
Yeah.
they could solve if they
Yeah.
realize what reality.
Yeah.
There's two planes of reality, and
Yeah.
that you see the real truth is not going to stop you from being influenced still by the creation,
Yeah.
but you know the truth.
Yeah.
You know,
So there's like earthquake in Myanmar and people are like suffering. So can we go and tell them this is Jagat Mithya?
yeah, it can. Right. Yeah.
So yeah. Okay.
It's just a self-inflicted. This thing is what you try to solve, not the earthquakes, but where we say depression or
Yeah.
someone feeling an emotional
Yeah.
traumas, then
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
try to retrieve them out of that by
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah. Yes, Maurya. Nicely said. Okay. So can we conclude the session over here? Do you have anything else to add?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Maurya. Thanks for joining. We'll continue from here in the next class. Okay. Thank you all. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Dhanyawadaha.
Dhanyawadaha.